Welcome to this Meet the Elder event and to the sanctuary community. So I invite you to turn on your video because Gail and I were speaking a little bit earlier, and she would love to see your face, when she share her wisdom. Yes, hi everyone. So, it's a very special moment for me because I've heard about the land of the dancing deer and about Gail for I think over a year and a half. And I was planned to go last year, but the pandemic happened and the border closed. And so, yeah, we are both on Turtle Island and we just can't fully travel and see each other. But I know this is coming. So Gail Whitlow, she's Mohawk, and she's going to share tonight on the theme of bridging the worlds, ancestral values in a modern world. And some of the things she will talk about is the language of the land and the disconnect around that, ancestral knowledge in modern times, honoring the messages from the past, and traditional knowledge and why this is key to the future. So Gail is located on Six Nation of the Grand River First Nation. It's a little bit an hour away from the Canadian border, from Niagara Falls, for those of you that know the area. And our mother bloodline extends back many generations as a Bear Clan, shaking the rattle. Maybe she'll tell us more about that. Bear Clan woman of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. And so she's Mohawk, and on her father's side, she acknowledged the Mohawk Turtle Clan. And, she has other roots, and some of them in Ireland, where she have Celtic roots. And so she's really a beautiful storyteller and weavers of that wisdom. And she has 5 children and 14 grandchildren, so a beautiful family. And on the Six Nation community, where some of you, and we probably will have some time to speak about that, but there's a lot of struggles on this community and issues. But she's very involved there on the land of the dancing deer, and she's a traditional healer, medicine knowledge keeper, a pipe carrier, and much more. So she's the founder of the Ancestral Voices Healing Center, the founder of the land of the dancing deer, the founder of Sacred Sites, Sacred Journeys, the co-founder of Grandmother Circle the Earth, and the co-founder of Grandmother Voice. And I'll stop there because I could go on introducing you, Gail, and reading your bio for probably a good 30 minutes. I don't want to take that time, but I want to send a big welcome and such a pleasure to be with you. And thank you for everybody joining here. And I'm handing you the microphone. So welcome.
Over to you, Gail. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Angel, for inviting me tonight to be a speaker on your wonderful program. It's so inspiring, when people want to share knowledge and, we're not keeping it all to ourselves anymore. We have so much to share. And so this is really a valuable outlet right now. Just imagine if we had created an event, then maybe less people will show up or more people will show up. But this way we get to, connect no matter where you are in the comfort of your own home. It's much cheaper. You don't have to pay for gas and lodging and, and all of those kinds of things. So, it's a pleasure to be spending some time with you all tonight. So, the bios are always interesting because, it's such a small snapshot of, all of the hats that we wear when we're doing the work that we're called to spiritually. And so I'll just kind of like to tell you like just a little bit more. I'll expand on that a little bit more. So my family ties come from the Haudenosaunee people here. Our territories once spread right from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi. And so, but we didn't own land. And so it was shared with many other nations as well. Many of those nations are extinct now. When when we first had lots and lots of extra company, there was a lot of things that happened at that time. And we don't look at that as a negative thing. I mean, there did have to be a shakeup. There's always shakeups that everyone has to go through, even in their personal lives. But the outcome is always positive. Positive, and so the positive outcome from that is, and that's really important, because not all there's want to say, hey, we're friends, hey, we're cousins, hey, we're related, hey, we're family. But I take a different view because of our teachings on the 4 roots of peace. So before I get into all of that, I just want to tell you how we traditionally open when we get together. So, we have supper, we have families, we have, all these responsibilities that we've gone through during the day. And sometimes it's hard for us to like focus and, come and listen, because we're still like being, sidetracked. So for us, the important thing that we do is we do what we call the Thanksgiving address. So I'm not going to say the whole Thanksgiving address, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share with you what it is. And the power of these words is, the more you hear it, the more you realize that we are so divinely connected, that our thoughts, our actions, our words are what it is, are what we are. So when we talk about the Thanksgiving address, we acknowledge all of creation. We acknowledge the medicine plants, the food plants, Mother Earth. We acknowledge the winged ones, the swimmers. We acknowledge the Grandma Moon and Father Sun and grandmother. Well, let's see here. But we acknowledge like the whole total universe. We acknowledge Creator. We also acknowledge that whole celestial energy, because we are part of it. We are part of that web. And, during some medicine ceremonies, I had the opportunity to actually witness that web. And if it wasn't for, these magical artists such as, what was his name? Anyways, he did some ayahuasca journeys, and his name's on the tip of my tongue. But when I saw his portraits and his beautiful Alex Gray, when I saw his beautiful work, I've seen those webs, and so I understand, where his portraits were coming from. So we're all part of this big, wonderful universe, and it doesn't matter what nationality or what size we are, nothing like that. It depends on just as human beings trying to look at what is best for the whole big picture. So the whole big picture is that we are in it together, and it's our responsibility and our duty to heal the world. When I was young, I'm over 60 now, but when I was young, as a child, we could drink the water. We had to dig it out of the well, take that from the well, but we could sit and we could drink the water. We can't even touch the water now. We do because we have no choice, the groundwater. But at that time, it was still in its purity, and that's not a long time ago. That is like 50 years ago, 60 years ago now, and so we have to look at all that has been done, and we have to feel the effects of what has been done, so that we can do the undoing, and we can go back and say, wait a minute, let's take a better picture at what is going on here. Why can't we have clean water? And then we look at all of the reasons why, and we say, okay, we know the reasons, so let's turn around now and let's fix this. So these are the things that we put in our mind, and as we put into our minds, we have to honor those ancestors. Those ancestors are what's working through me right now. Like, I don't have all of these high-tech notes, and I'm not using PowerPoint and all of these things, because I've always been told that when you speak, you speak from your heart. And ancestral energy works through, and it gives you the right words that you have to present. And so that's kind of what I do. And there have been times that I've been really nervous, and I'm thinking, I'm okay, I've got this all prepared, I know what I'm going to say. At the end of it all, I haven't said one thing about what was written down in the paper. So I just went, you know what, no need for that anymore. Speak the truth, speak from your heart, and that's what's meant to be said and shared with everyone. So our ancestral ties, bringing those ancestors, as we continue to do the work. All of your ancestors, all of my ancestors, what a beautiful, beautiful picture it is in the spiritual world to see everyone together right now, everyone, listening to the words, and we're all gonna maybe take something from it tonight, even if it's one little thing that you're hearing that, hey, I never thought of that, your perception has changed just one little bit. Well, it's certainly a win-win for what the ancestors are moving us to do. And it's also a win-win for Mother Earth and, the changes that maybe we can all be part of. So I always give, thanks for the ancestors who are with us tonight, and they're going to be with us right until we end. And so that's what the Thanksgiving address does. It goes, hey, we're all inclusive here. We're including everything that we can think of as human beings, as spiritual beings, as all the different life forms that we have here on Earth. We're all included in this in these beautiful words. So these words have power. A lot of nations, they use a lot of different things. They use smudge, and they use a lot of other ways. And so the beautiful thing about our nations is we've learned to adapt to where we have settled. So when we go back in time, I have to think of some spiritual journeys, and on some of these spiritual journeys, they said, "This is the story of your people." There's these petroglyphs, and this is where you come from, and this talks about the first world and the second world and the third world and the fourth world, and all of these things. See, this is part of your history. Your people, we call you the people of the moon because we followed the moon to the east. So at one time when this world came to be again after after we destroyed it. Our people went underground and we emerged, and I would say in the Mexico City area and in Mexico there. And then there was the migration again from there. So people went south, people went north, and as we emerged, so we would go a distance, and some people would stay, and then other people would keep going, and then we would stay. So just because now we're Apache and we're Mohawk and we're Cherokee and we're all of these different nations, the bottom line is we're all the same nation. And it's not just the native people who are our family, it's our world family. We're all connected. We all came from this place. We know that if you put all of the continents together, that they form one big continent. And so as the continents start to break away, that's when we became, more disconnected. And it wasn't that we were going to stay disconnected, because our prophecy said one day we're all going to come back together. And so that's what's happened. And even though we had to, go through the events that we did, it's an honor now that we can all be together and we can all be sharing teachings. A lot of times we have to really look at where do these teachings come from? What's the connection? And I can tell you, the only connection there is Mother Earth. It's the Earth talks, the ancestors talk. They help you to redefine yourselves. They help you to heal. They give you the the ability to hear the voices and to find your direction. So basically, we are all part of a big picture, and the big picture is more beautiful with everyone in it. And so we thank, you know, all of our relatives who have come from, you know, the different countries, because that just creates more beauty on our land. So, you know, we have to question sometimes, you know, why are we here, and what is our purpose? I mean, I think that's the question that everyone has on their mind. So the Bible is some beautiful stories that happened in another land. And there's no doubt that, you know, there was, you know, there's some truth to the Bible, and, you know, and all of those teachings, you know, they came from another land. But we have this land, and this land is also a beautiful story. We have so many stories about, you know, our creation story, and about how things were and how things are going to be. And, you know, the prophecies are like, they're such beautiful stories. And when we think about these stories, we chose to be here at this time. So back in the day, we lived so close to nature that we mimicked nature. I had this amazing vision once, and it's, you know, visions, they're not long and drawn out, but they're short and sweet. And the one vision I had was of, so if I look outside, I can see some fields, you know, right outside my door here. And what I saw was there was 3 hunters, and they were moving so fast. They had, you know, their hunting gear. They were so light on their feet that they moved from here to the other side of the bush, like in lightning speed. And I was going, wow. But what I did notice, and maybe why I saw this, was because of their actions. You know how today we're like, you know, calm and we're just like this? Well, they were like, as they moved, they were like paying attention to every single sound, every single thing that they saw. They were well aware of where they were and what was going on. So, you know, I looked at that and I said, wow, we used to be so connected, you know, that we actually mimic the animals, and that is actually where the clan systems come from. So if you study people, you can always find, you know, a connection to some animal. Myself, I'm Bear Clan, and there's no doubting that I'm Bear Clan. Everything about me, you know, is Bear Clan. And so coming in as a certain clan or a certain animal, you look at their traits. So bears are known to be the healers. They're known to be the medicine, and even spiritually, if you have bears as your protectors, that's a very powerful thing, you know. So what animal is it that you resonate to? Like, you know, and the thing is, we need all of these animals to create that community, because it's like a community of human beings. You know, the animals, they relate to one another, they know their path, they know their journey. And we as people, we have our traits. You know, we're here for a specific reason, and we need to be also connected to a community, because right now I think one of the downfalls of society is the way that we have been sectioned off. So I share this story not in a mean way or anything, but just as an example, so that you can understand the breakdown of our society. Because this happened not only in our lands, but it happened across the waters as well. So so imagine, all of a sudden, you know, the boats are coming in, and, you know, there's new people coming to your doorstep, and never seen, you know, people quite like this before. And so you're saying, wow, what do I do? Do I welcome? What do we do? How do we prepare for our guest? And these people are carrying a cross, and there's a clergy with them, and they say, we now claim this land for the Queen of England or whoever they claim it for. So you people now are under us because we're the rulers here now. We're taking over this land. You have, and they give an X amount of time to come under our control, or we're going to kill you all. And so we're saying, who are these people? I don't know what they're saying. Let's get that feast ready. And then, however it happened, there goes a whole community gone. But the whole community isn't gone because there's those people who are out working, hunting, or those people who are out working in the fields, or, all of a sudden there's this commotion and they come and they see that their community is being destroyed. And imagine that effect. So you see your mothers being raped and your babies being killed, and all of those kinds of things. It puts you into a state of complete shock. So you have a choice. Do I go and do I die with my community, or do I survive? So obviously, through that process over and over and over again, we learned how to survive, but we held and we retained the energy of that. And so that it filtered down in through the bloodlines. So what happened then is we had to learn how to segregate into our clan system. So the clans started living separately, and there was always somebody who could say, hey, there's something going on over here. So we would have the ability to possibly escape, and so instead of the whole community being destroyed, well then, just, part of the community was being destroyed. So I'm not saying this because of anything more than to share a worldwide story of how we began that disconnection process. So it got to the point then where there was no place to run. And then next thing you know, we're living in, in complete shock, hurt, pain, grief. And all of our food stores have been destroyed. Everything, our whole meaning in life, our whole way of life is gone. However, not all was lost, because what happened was there was the good guys. And so, the good guys continued to be able to help, to help those people. So the good guys, like they knew to escape to a safe place. They learned how to survive, and they learned how to, bring these people together again. So that's how we continue to survive. So once we get past that point of, that next thing you know, we're segregated even more. And this time we're segregated into our families, and then we're segregated into like homes. And so when we're disconnected from our community, that causes all of the, the abuses that we suffer in that way. But again, our minds are hurt and our minds are in pain. And all of a sudden, we're offered these mind changers. And these mind changers come, and they don't take away the trauma, but maybe they take away the pain a little bit, and you stay in that way. So that's what all of our peoples are overcoming. And I'm saying this because I also had the experience of traveling to many other lands. So when I was in Scotland, I was really surprised because there was no children. I was going, where's the children? For us, it's like anywhere I want to go, if I couldn't bring my children, well, then I'm not going, because our children were so much a important part of us. And so then I heard the stories of, how colonization came and took the men. They took them overseas here to fight. They stripped them of their kilts. They stripped them of their language, and all of the same things that we had gone through. And so you can see still the essence of that. So don't worry, I'm not going to be all doom and gloom, but I just want to show you that all our peoples are going through similar things. Even New Zealand, everywhere I've gone, it's the same thing. The whole world is still colonized. So what do we do? Well, we go back to nature, plain and simply. If we really want to make a difference, then we have to start connecting to that natural environment again. I always loved how our people were able to like camouflage themselves. That was such a powerful thing. You know, you could be walking right beside someone and they could camouflage themselves and you could not see them. And we all are able to find ways to bring back that essence of ourselves by starting to grow our own gardens. You know, the value of growing our own gardens is really powerful because our food, where our health is being affected because we aren't eating healthy anymore. Even if we eat fruits and vegetables, they have not ripened in the field, or if they have, it has been done chemically. They have not naturally ripened, so they do not have the full nutritional value that you get in ripe vegetables. So again, our food is consuming us and is bringing us into these, keeping us into these states of, you know, colonization. And so this is overall, this is a general picture. So what do? Well, we start to learn the medicines. Sorry, we start to learn the medicines that we have known for generations to come. And so once we start to understand our, sorry, my daughter's trying to fix this here for me. So somebody's calling. They're gonna have to wait. So you know, so once we start to you know, sit in nature, like we all escape the city, and for what for? Well, we escape the city so that we can be connected to nature. So why don't we just start really looking at what that means? The water spirits talk to you. The earth spirits talk to you. The ancestors talk to you. The trees connect with you. So that brings me to another story, because the more I share on this level, the more that you can see that there's this really powerful connection that happens. So, you know, my introduction, you know, I don't like talking about myself too much because, you know, that causes ego to me, and, you know, I don't like to be in that place. But so we all know, and we've all heard that we are one with nature. And it's like, yeah, how? What do you mean? How are we one with nature? Well, so one day I was on my land, and land of the dancing deer, and we were doing pipe ceremony. And as we were doing pipe ceremony, I don't even know what we were praying about. I can't remember what we were praying about. But all of a sudden, we were doing our pipe ceremony underneath this very powerful red oak tree. And that red oak tree is the leader of the land. And as I was smoking, all of a sudden, the tree, the beautiful red oak tree, turned into this beautiful red, I wouldn't say red, he had a red karate type outfit, he had a red headband, he had black hair, and he was beautiful. And he says, "What is it you seek?" And I'm going, I froze. I literally froze. It was like, I couldn't even answer, you know, at the time. And then of course, you know, the vision's only a vision for a very short time. But so I had to think about it. What is it I seek? What is it? So I had to think about it. Then I had to go and I had to connect again at another time, because now I knew the spirit of this beautiful red oak tree. Now, this oak tree has been blessed by many people around the world. You know, every time we have visitors from another land, we take them to that oak tree. And we've even have in the oak tree, when I was in Poland, I was gifted this crystal, and they said, this crystal needs to go on your land so that we can always be connected. So in that oak tree, I put that beautiful crystal so that we're always connected energetically to, to our relatives over in Poland. But many, many nations have come in. I remember there was some Peruvian elders when we were doing a ceremony at Grandfather Oak, and all of a sudden you could see water coming from the tree. And the Donna, I forget what her name was now, but she goes, the tree is crying. The tree is so happy, that we're here. And so we've had some really powerful experiences when we look at all of the signs and all of the connections that we have in our natural environments. So I got to keep an eye on my time again, because I could go on for a long time about that, but there's so much more that I want to talk about. And so one of the big things that we can do as peoples today is we can start to form, we started forming grandmother circles. And why we started doing that was because, where do we get all the wisdom from? Who has lived those experiences? Who has gone through the ringer and survived? And who has the ability to be calm? And who has the ability to understand, all of these things? Well, it's the grandmothers. So we were coming from a very sacred journey down in the New Mexico area. And our elder, who was our mentor, had passed. So we were coming back and we were thinking to ourselves, how do we continue this work? Because there was a certain type of work that he had laid upon us. He said that he traveled the world, he says, and we have these beautiful, beautiful get-togethers. We have such good conversation. We have such good food, and we have such good company. He says, and then we go home. He said, your job is to make sure these things continue. And I'm going, my job, I have a job. And he had this twinkle in his eye. And he says, use my resources, I'll be there to help. And that was it. And then he passed away. And I'm going, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Now what? So the conversation was around, how do we do that? And so of course, when you're coming from ceremony, that's when you have the closest connection to the answers that you might be seeking. That's when it happened, grandmother circles. Yes, let's try that. So we had our first one in Mimbres, New Mexico. And from there, we started to go around the world. We had invites around the world. So that's how come I was able to, make those sacred and powerful journeys. And the purpose is not to show them our ways. The purpose was to help them remember the old ways, the way their elders and their grandmothers and their people used to do different things like honor the earth and different ceremonies. So it was our job simply to plant the seed, and it was up to the circle of grandmothers to water that seed and to form those relationships. Because if you have an issue in your community or your wherever you are and you need a resolution, well, that's where those circles came in handy. In Denmark, I believe we have over 21 circles that have been created from that initial circle that was created. And they're strong and they're like doing things. They're shaking up the country. They're like making really wonderful changes. And, I was talking with Angel earlier, and part of our discussion was we talked about the Nordic connection to our land. And it was actually the Nordic people who had and brought longhouses over here. So we're called the people of the longhouse. However, those longhouses came from our Nordic relatives because there's always been, some sort of trade. Just because ships these days have, all these fancy compasses and all of these things, doesn't mean that those things were needed in the past. The earth and the waters are so connected that just like the earth has, all of these landmarks, so do the waters. So our people were very powerful navigators, and they could work through those waters, and they could read those waters just like we can read the land. So we've always had some kind of like connection to the actually the whole world. And and I think that's the beauty. So we do have all the tools that we need in order to make ourselves into a healthier community, one that there's no discrimination. Discrimination is the biggest thing I think right now that is affecting like uh, worldview. Like, there was a leader over there that really helped promote and foster um, this concept, and that concept is actually not the not the real concept. That it was a perception that was put out there, but in reality, the more beautiful concept is the we are one concept, because we all have the same struggles. We are all the same human beings. We just have settled and have created different thoughts within ourselves. So when you're walking your path, these are things that come in front of you that you implement. So one of my um, inspirations has always been our people. Um, the pain is real, the struggle is real, the healing, the need for healing is real. And to see our people like in a state of disrepair, to see the separation, to feel the pain, to see the alcoholism, to all of the struggles that our Native communities have. It's not money. Money is not the answer. What is the answer though is getting back to our traditional way of life again. And we know that we're not going to go right back to the way it used to be, but we're going to be able to work with all the technology we have and all the advances we've made in order to make that world right again. So as a young person, how do what part do I play in this? So I started my healing journey. You have to go through, all that hardship and all that drama, and a lot of it's man-made drama, as we know. We put ourselves into these situations that, are our learning curves, and that's all they are. All they simply are is their learning curves. There's no good and bad. It's like, well, I'm not going to do that again. Oh, but I'm going to add more of this into my life. So going through all of that through our life, and um, learning what we don't want and learning what we do want, that's what creates our evolution into the mothers and the healers and the grandparents, and all of these things. So I said to myself, boy, what's my role? Looked at my clan. Yes, I know I'm Bear Clan, so that means medicines, they're natural. The connection to medicines, that's a natural thing. What else do I do? What else is natural? Well, working with different types of healing. So I started to discover that I had this. Well, I guess it's a gift. I don't know what to call it, but it's this ability. I guess I felt really drawn to helping people, and so I needed to collect the tools that I had in order to help me to achieve that. So I remember when I first discovered Reiki. Wow, there's something about that. Hmm, there's something about that. I think I really want to figure out what that is. And so I had a session, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so relaxing. Hey, I like Reiki. Yeah. Then I had another session. Oh, yeah, really nice. I really like that. Then it happened. All of a sudden, things started to shift. I could feel other people working on me. Sometimes I would see this great big glow and this great big light, and I was going, I could feel things moving in my body. It was sometimes it was like this little key was turning in different places of my body, and I was going, oh, wow, oh, that was my way of knowing how the ancestors, worked through me and worked to help me. And so I wanted to share that with others. So I took, again, there was only like one or two other people in the community, and they weren't actively using these tools at the time. I took the training, and I remember we went to a group of our traditional people, and they were going, "Oh, that's witchcraft! Oh, witchcraft!" And I was going, didn't feel like witchcraft to me. It felt pretty well, really amazing, So I closed my ears and I focused on the benefits of what I was experiencing, because I was experiencing such powerful and wonderful, like it just made me feel so good. I wanted to share that with others. And then there was reflexology. And I remember no one in the community was doing reflexology. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, how could you touch other people's feet? Oh, I don't want to do that work. And then for your training, you need to do so many sets of feet. And so, so I went and I went to like the different organizations and I said, hey, can I work on your staff? And they were open to it. And next thing you know, everybody was seeing me. They go, oh, my feet, they really need you, my feet. And so it was amazing because, as things were introduced, therapeutic touch and different things, different modalities, I had to look at the ceremonial uh, teachings as well. So it was a wonderful combination actually, because when you start to feel and understand those ceremonies, and you start to feel the essence of those who have walked before us, and when you start to feel wow, this is where I'm from, this is the land I'm from, then it's amazing how those kind of things can really make you want more. So I remember I wanted to build the center that we're working on now. I wanted to build it. So what I had done was I was trying to think of all the elements that I need. I need a place where I can do workshops. I need a place where I can, have a store. I had to look at from a business model. I had to understand that one income stream wasn't going to pay my bills, and especially an income stream that was relied on something that was really new to the community. Um, so when I tried to apply for, some funding or some grants, it was like, we don't do capital projects. And so I was going, oh, what am I going to do? How is this going to happen? Then all of a sudden the land came, and it was like, and that was a beautiful story. But again, I'm watching my time here. and so next thing you know, I said, well, they said, hey, there's a space opening. Why don't you try it there first, and then see what you need for your center. So that's when the Ancestral Voices was born. So it had those income streams. It had the selling of the medicinal herbs and all of that related items. It had the therapies. It had the space for workshops, and it was a struggle. The beginning years were a big struggle, and I didn't realize at the time that my children were being impacted by my vision and my dream. I remember my daughter said to me, she says, "Mom, I don't want to do what you do," and I said, "Oh, that's fine. We all have something that we're good at. If you don't want to follow this, I'm not forcing you." But later I found out it was because she was getting um, scorned, and the people were calling me a witch, and there was a whole bunch of negativity that was being directed at my children because of the choice that I had made. I didn't know this until years after, you know, that they were feeling this. Now my family is very much involved in what I'm doing. And my grandchildren, you know. And I can remember being one time at work, and I watched my daughter and I watched my niece, and they were sitting there, and all of a sudden they were working with energy. And my one niece turned around and she says, "You move the energy down to here," or something. And I turned and, you know, I paid more attention, but it's a natural ability that they're not scared of anymore. And all of the beautiful people that, you know, now do this work in our community, their children aren't scared anymore. And so it created this opening and this place, I guess, for others that were afraid to put their toe in to, you know, go all out and start learning it. And the beautiful thing is, most of our programs that we have down here and services, they all have, you know, all different types of healing. So, I mean, I'm talking about now we have the gamut of healing resources here on the res, and that's a powerful thing. It doesn't stop the addiction. It doesn't stop, you know, all of these other things, but it is certainly helpful because it could be so much more than that. So from there, I still knew I had the land, and the more you work on in an indoor space, the more you know that you need to expand that and you need to get onto the land, because the land is where you get that really, really deep sense of uh, connection. You know, just take a walk, you know, through the land, through the forest, through the, you know, through the land, and you just feel like, wow, I'm not alone. And where I am, it's a beautiful place. And so I knew that that had to be an element. And so I had written a business plan, and actually I thought it was 2005, but it was actually way before that. It was like 2001, 2000. I had written this business plan, and at the time it was like a 3-year plan. And you know, at that time I had been wanting to, like, you know, already be on the land and already be doing that. And years went by because it didn't seem to be happening because I was kind of stuck, like in my space, you know, being busy with, you know, doing everything that I was doing. And finally, about I think it's been 3 or 4 years, years ago. Um, Finally, somebody says, "I'll help you," and someone says, "I'll help you," and someone says, "I'll help you." And next thing you know, we created this beautiful, beautiful team. And one of Angel's friends, Rebecca, oh my gosh, what a beautiful soul. And the thing is, I wanted my team to be all those beautiful souls. I didn't want what happens when, you know, we start to create something, we have all that friction, we have all of that animosity, and we have all of those jealousy. You know, I wanted a team that resonated beauty. And so the team that came, um, one of the requirements was, first you must understand where I'm from, who I am, and what our people understand. So I got them to read the Great Law. And the Great Law, I said, because if I don't do this based on the teachings of our peoples, I says, it's not going to flow. It's not going to flow because I'm going to have resistance from the community. That's not ours. That's not ours. That's not our way. But when it's all based on our models and our indigenous knowledge that we share and we carry and we're so proud of, well, that's what the land of the dancing deer is. The land of the dancing deer takes all of those values, and it's everything from the structure of the building to the way that we preserve the land, introducing the fruit trees so that we can live self-sustainably off of this land. It's all about building community. It's all about uh, you know, being able to do these teachings, being able to do the healing on the land, being able to help those struggling. Maybe they've been struggling with addiction and they've gone past that, and now they need an outlet. Now they need to have those skills. So this is what this place is, where we have small homes so that people can live on the land, and in payment, they are going to be working within the center so that they can be given the skills that are going to take them, above and beyond where they thought. And I mean, there's so much involved in this project that the beauty of it is it's all been predestined. Had I not had the dreams, had I not understood that, there's more to this, had I stopped years ago, then this land might not have prospered the way that it is starting. You can feel the life in the land now. Everyone that comes to the land, if they don't understand the project, they walk that land, then they understand what that land is about. That land is all about that beauty and the deep connections that we can share and that we can have. So we've also taken the approach of our ancestral, our traditional teaching. So when I talked about the Thanksgiving address, well, through that, we have what we call a cycle of ceremonies. So that's what our longhouse ceremonies are based on. And it honors everything. Like we just opened and closed the maple trees, as soon as the trees start to run, then there's a ceremony to open the trees. As soon as the sap is done flowing, we close the trees. Then we honor the seeds that are coming. I mean, there's so much that we have in our cycle of ceremonies that those teachings then have to be reflected in the land. And so again, we're building all of that into our curriculum, so to speak. And the other beauty about it is we want to be able to introduce all of the wonderful traditions from other lands. So, the center is about bringing in the healers from, Peru, bringing in the elders from Africa, bringing in the elders from China, all around the world, so that we can have a place where those teachings can be shared and they can be nurtured and they can be, and it'll be a beautiful thing. So again, the land of the dancing deer, we're in the donation aspect. Right now, we need to get that laneway in for starters, but we were just on the way. We were just right there. We had the funding that we needed, and COVID hit. And it took it all away. It was like that dangling carrot, that dangling carrot was right there. COVID hit, boom, there it goes, gone. I was like, oh my gosh. It was a beautiful thing, because what happened then was we were able to refocus. Everybody had the time. Everybody had the time then to sit back and to put, even better energy into the project, because now you were stuck at home. Now you had, you wanted to be creative because you needed your focus elsewhere. It also helped us to think about what might be coming in the future and how we can already have those things implemented into the project, so that should, this come again, that will already be prepared. And our prophecies tell us that it's coming again. We had so many things have happened over time. If you look back into any history of any land, we did have those diseases that come and destroyed the people, and took out of a lot of people. So when we look at COVID, I look at my store and I look at all of the beautiful things I have in my store, all the beautiful medicines that help people to be on that healing path. So to find and to understand those medicines, well, then we have the land to show you, well, this is this, and this is this, and these are the protocols that our ancestors used when planting our seeds, when picking the medicine. These are the ceremonies that you go to Longhouse for, because this is where all of the words are, all of the prayers are, all of the dances that need to be done. This is where it all happens. So it's a big culmination of, I don't know, I would call it ancestral insights, because our ancestors knew that this was going to happen, and they had formulated a plan for us to survive and us to get through. And I remember one elder saying, your people have what the world needs to find world peace. And I said, what? They had come and they had traveled and they brought this sacred staff, and they opened it. We had a big elders gathering in 2004, and it was a very powerful event that culminated with, we call it a unity ride. The unity ride was the vision of Lakota people, and they were worried about the strife of their people and their horse people, and they followed the vision and they went out to BC, and then the ride was coming this way. So the ride is about horseback and runners. Horseback and runners. So you have people on horseback doing the ride, and you have the runners, and it's doing this in prayer, because basically that's what you do. You have to go from point A to B. How do you get there? You know, and then you have to find out resources all through that ride in order to survive for the group that was traveling with you. So we met in Oneida, Wisconsin, because that's our traditional territory right now. And we were to escort our Haudenosaunee people, were to escort them to Six Nations here, because this is where that ceremony was going to take place. So again, it was all about ceremony. That beautiful ceremony that was held at Six Nations was where that staff was brought out, and it was placed on the land, and the message was, you were here 500 years ago, and you were there when we were making the plan for our 7 generations coming, and you're here again making that plan for those 7 generations come. So that staff was open, and it wasn't a staff for everyone. It was just a staff for those who had traveled, who had been a process of making that staff. And so since it was open, he said, your people have what it takes, and in 2 years the world is going to be at your doorstep. And 2 years after that, we had what we call well, the press calls it an uprising. We call it no more. We're not going to take this anymore. You're not going to take our lands anymore, because they were encroaching on the res. Like, we have a tract of land that land was given to our people because of our alliance with the British. Imagine giving us our own land. However, that was an agreement that was made, and nobody could sell or take that land. So what happened then is we were kicked off the land, and there was a lot of things that happened, and we managed to keep a very small portion of that land, and that's the reserve that we're living on right now. And the cities just kept on coaching and coaching and coaching, and not honoring their leases that they had, squatters leases. So the squatters leases then, they were 100-year leases, and they were supposed to, like, after that, then the land was to revert back to Six Nations. But instead of that, they just brought more family, and they never gave our land back. And so that's what the fight was about. It was about, we can't take this anymore. We're responsible for our 7 generations. And it was a group of women that said no more. And it got heated, and it was big. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I remember that there was a time when the military, they had brought in body bags, and they had them stored just off the res a little bit, and they had all the militia, and they were going to kill us. And as they were going to do that, the women linked arms, and the day before, I had seen this vision, and I had been in Toronto, and I saw that it was like this hand. So I call it Creator's hand. And the reason I can tell is because I could see a watch, and it was this white light, and it was this huge entity in the sky over the area. And what happened was the hand went shoo, and I could see the militia, and they were all tumbling back. And so when I got back, those that I had been working with at the time, I said, gather your pipes and gather your crystals. It's time. So there was the whole res was praying that night. Whether you were traditional, whether you were church, we were in crisis. The whole res was praying. And so they tried to come in early in the morning. And what happened was some of those, the most beautiful thing, they saw our ancestors dressed in their regalia. And they were on horseback, and they were going against the people, like they were just standing there. And the police said, I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm not getting involved in that. And they backed off. And so to this day, we still have that land. And just recently, they tried to develop land, just adjacent to that land. And so the same thing happened. And so this has been going on like for 7 months now. And so we've reclaimed that as well. And people are living there. We're not letting them developers develop that land. And so people didn't understand why. They're saying, you're no different than us. How come you're not following the law? And they say, well, because we are following the law. We're following our law. Because as sovereign people, we have a different relationship, and we have different treaty belts. And one of those treaty belts would be the Turo Wampum, and the Turo Wampum basically says, we honor each other's path. This is my path, this is your path, and we walk side by side, but we don't get in each other's way, and we don't influence. So we're sticking to this side still. This is our path, and you have no business in our business. And that's another whole story, and I see it's already after 8, and we could, talk on these a lot more, but the people are starting to feel, and not just our people. We have so many supporters, Indigenous and non-Indigenous people who have been studying the history, and they do know now that the way our people have been treated is wrong, and there are allies. Just recently, they created I guess you could call it a fundraiser. And the fundraiser was to build a small home. So it was an auction, and they made over $29,000 on this auction, for building the small home. Because if we don't build and put things on the land, then they're going to come right back, and they're going to, try to claim it again. And so we've made sure that that's not going to happen. There's so many Indigenous issues all through our territories, out on the West Coast, the struggles. A lot of these struggles you never hear about in the media, because the media is silenced. For this last thing that we've gone through, it wasn't in the media. It wasn't covered, and it wasn't covered for a reason. They didn't think that we were going to have the upper hand. And they didn't think that we were going to get the land back, but they didn't want people supporting it either. So we're all about getting past obstacles, and we all have obstacles in our life. Every single one of us have obstacles, but always know that there's faith in your intuition. Your intuition is the ancestor speaking through you. It's that gut feeling. It's the yes, no that you feel. We have so many things that, we could talk about. And I guess I'll open it up for questions right now, because I don't know what it is that you might want to know more about, or a question that you have that's you know, different. Over to you, Angel.
Thank you, Gail. I got very emotional when you were sharing that story, and thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important that we hear about what's going on. And you know, one of the things, I have a question for you, because one of the things that seems quite beautiful to me and quite remarkable in what you've done with your team and with the people that you work with. So it's a mix of people that are First Nation people and a mix of people that are non-native. And it's quite unusual from my experience, you know, and I heard you sharing about you being a witch and being seen by your own people, by someone that should not use healing traditions that are not in your ancestral path. So could you talk just a little bit about that and the difficulty maybe, or how you see it? Because I know, for having talked with other elders or other people, that sometimes there's very clear separations. And I know we all walk around with trauma in our bodies,
Yes.
especially First Nation people, Native people, you know. I know also that this trauma is ongoing because of land rights and water rights and buildings, and, you know, and even just racism and, you know, just plain laws that are still racist towards Native people. So how do we navigate that? And how did you navigate it, first within your community and also with others, so you were able somehow to weave that in such a beautiful way? You know, sometime Rebecca, I know she's on the call tonight, and you know, share with me, you know, what she's doing with you, and I'm just always amazed by it. But I also hear the voices that you share from your people that might find it not okay or not right, you know. So can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I find it's somehow at the heart of how do we come together in a respectful way, in a way that honor each other, in a way that also acknowledge, you know, colonizations and trauma and all that.
Okay, so again, that could be a lengthy answer, but I'll try to hit the main points. Well, back when we were struggling to survive, there was many times when our communities would pick up, you know, people who had been abandoned on, you know, or burnt out or whatever, and they would come into our villages, and they wouldn't want to leave because of everything that our village represented and that they weren't finding within their own people. So they resonated so much with how we originally walked with the land that and it wasn't about race or anything at that time. It was more, hey, you're a human being, you're struggling, you know, come with us, kind of thing. And so when we look at that aspect, part of our I had mentioned that I had got everyone to read the Great Law. The Great Law talks about the time when we were going to come together again, and it was at that time that the earth would start to heal. So the experiences that our peoples have struggled with are the, you know, are the battles. However, from those battles, we have the roots of peace. The roots of peace extend worldwide. Anyone who wants to find that peace, there's a mandate for coming under the great tree of peace and changing the world's anatomy. And so I was looking at the hurt and the pain that our people have been suffering with, and the reasons why they weren't letting others come into our circle. And I said, now, wait a minute. I know that this tree of peace represents the world. How can the world know the beauty of our culture if we don't start sharing our culture? because many felt, that we weren't to share our ways. And I understand why. I mean, we all understand, why. Years ago, I spent time with an elder. His name was Jake Thomas. He was one of our traditional chiefs, and we would go to his home and we would ask a question. And he would kind of say like, "Hey, what are we going to talk about tonight?" And somebody would bring up a topic. He would share the most beautiful aspects of our culture in answering that question. I would listen and I would feel like, oh my gosh, the beauty in those words, the beauty in our people. If everybody had the opportunity to hear who we really are, then there would be no fighting. There would be that world peace that everyone is searching for. So why can't we share that beauty? So I kind of do. That's what I do. I love to share, bits and pieces of who we are, our stories, our history, because how else are we going to create that beautiful tree and make that beautiful tree live stronger? They talk about the tree falling, and the tree did have to fall. And again, that's a whole nother story. But the tree is rising again, and it's rising this time because we now have the opportunity for all people. All people live in Toronto. All people live in our surrounding communities. You know, the government and the colonizers are the ones that put us on reserves. They put us on the worst part of land, and here you go. Here you go. This is your piece of land because we want all of this. And then they found out we have gas and oil and all of these things. And they go, hey, wait a minute, we want that land back. We need that. We need to drill. We need to exploit. We need to make money. Off of that land. So what we need to do is we need to be open to expanding our horizons by um, understanding all these people that we now are with. And that's the beauty of what this is. What you're doing is you're helping to share the teachings. What we're trying to create is the beauty of sharing the teachings, because it's the heart of who we all are. What happens is, through colonization, and again, especially that really deep colonization, is we become closed and we become like the seed that hasn't been watered and can't flourish. But once you start to hear the beautiful teachings of, the different cultures, why all of a sudden, wow, wow. For the first time, I'm looking and I'm seeing beauty. And that's exactly why these kinds of things are important, because we need to share the beauty. The beauty is in everything we do, every place we are, but everybody is like this and they're not looking up and they're not seeing the beauty. I'll share one beautiful thing that happened to me, and I'll share it really quickly, but so you get the gist of it. But I was sad and depressed, and I was raising my 5 children by myself, and I was really busy. I was working and going to school and all of these things, but my heart, my spirit, I had lots of tears, and I went to see a medicine man. He started to sing a song, and when he was singing that song, Strong Ale, tears started to flow, and I was going, "Oh my gosh, I'm not used to crying, but oh my gosh, that song is so beautiful." And he looks at me and he said, "You needed that." From his little medicine bag, he gave me a piece of bear root, and he said, "Chew this, put your tobacco down, and sit by the water under a tree." And I didn't have time. It was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like an all-day thing. What do I have to do that for? Oh, one day I said, I have 10 minutes. I was close to my favorite tree. I was visiting my mom at the time, and I said, I'm going to give it a whirl. So I went to the tree, put my tobacco down, and I sat there. And it's a fall time. So in the fall time, there's the water, there's the dead trees, and the plants are all brown. Oh, there's a house over there. I'm looking around. Looked at my time. I knew I didn't have time. So I was just gonna get up, and a voice said, "What do you see?" And I says, "Well, there's the water. There's some trees over there. There's a house." And the voice said, "You're seeing beauty." That was it. That was all I needed to hear. And I went, "I'm missing the beauty. What does that mean?" And I had to like go into my thinking cat mode, and I had to figure out that there's beauty in everything that we do. Every circumstances that we get ourselves into, there's a beauty. The thing is, we're not used to looking for it. So we're heads down, and we're not looking up and going, "Oh, wow, Deja, that's beautiful." So I had to look at that river. That river had the sun glistening down, and you could see like the sparkle on the water. And I go, "Wow, that water really is beautiful." So it changed my perception. I had to then take it upon myself to look for the beauty. If I was in a struggle, what is the beauty of this? And then one day I was happy, and I don't even know when that happened. But today I'm ecstatically happy. But I don't know when I got out of that state where I was depressed and hurt and lonely and all of that stuff into who I am now. All of my experiences, all of the walks, all of the sun dances, and all of the ceremonies, and all of the hardships were so worth it. They were so worth, um, you know, facing my fear and going out there and creating beauty. So now that's what I see. And a lot of times people come to me, and that's what we do, is we change that perception. We change that perception. We look forward, and we don't look behind us anymore. And that's advice for like everyone. That's advice for everyone. So again, so that's why we're trying so desperately to create our center. So we're doing, fundraising and all of that kind of stuff, so that we can help people to look at that and say, let's share our dreams, let's share our visions, because we have them for a reason. Maybe my vision is going to help you. Maybe your vision is going to help me, or it's going to help someone else. We used to do that. We used to be those dreamers. We used to do that. And that's when we were healthy. And we have gotten away from all the simple things. Like, how hard is it to say, what did you dream about? You know, we do that with our kids and our grandkids. Did you have any dreams? What did you dream about? And we do that right from the littlest one, right up. And anytime somebody has a dream, they go, "Hey, I had this dream. What does it mean?" So we're getting back into it, and it doesn't cost us anything to say, "Would you share a dream? I'd like to share my dream with yours." So the vision of the land of the dancing deer is a dream. It's a vision, but that vision was sent to me from the ancestors. So it's my responsibility to manifest that now. I have to do what I can to make sure that I'm following the wisdom of those ancestors, and I'm creating this, and all the beautiful people that come to create this vision, it's their vision too. They knew that from their time here on earth, that they were going to get involved in this beautiful uh, vision, because it's not going to be a vision just for Six Nations. It's not going to be a vision for Ontario, Canada. It's going to be a vision for the world. People can see this model, and they can create this in their own spaces, and they can use what they need to do, and that's how we create that beauty. So if you have been giving a task and you think it's impossible, well, remember, there's nothing that is impossible in this world. So with the right attitude, with the right change of perception, with the right people who can come and mentor you, like social media, like I'm so used to talking on this thing now. It wasn't the same before. Before it was like, yeah, I was kind of nervous about, doing all the sharing, but now it's just flowing naturally because we've, I've got accustomed to it, and so we all get accustomed to another way. And so apply that to your life and see what beauty you can get. Like if you feel that, you want to be part of this vision, well, if you want to be part of Angel's vision, if you want to be part of your friend's vision, say, hey, what can I do? There's something about that project that is calling me. There's something that's beautiful about that. What can we do? A lot of times it's money. I mean, because you need money to manifest these places, but money is an energy. So you put it out there, and that happens. All of a sudden you're getting this donation from here, and you don't even know how that happened. You know, we just had this very powerful ceremony with some Peruvian elders. So they're known as one of the most powerful or strongest Peruvian um, ayahuasca medicine keepers. And so we had visual, or we had a Zoom as a fundraiser. So they went into ceremony, and their vision is also to create a center there for their people. And so they did the ceremony, they did the medicine, and they sang those songs for an hour. So we sat back and we were able to be in that medicine with them, even without taking that medicine, but feeling the power in the words of those songs. And so we're going to try to do that on a monthly basis because, again, um, that beautiful energy is creating their center and it's helping us to create our center. But people are getting so much more than that concept. They're getting that power of that medicine. Oh, and you know there's pros and cons of that medicine, but I mean, all I can say is you take the good with the bad with anything that is that powerful. You have to learn, you have to work, you have to understand that medicine. And yeah, so then there's lots of other medicines that are a little gentler too. And those medicines, they call you. Peyote was one that even before I ingested it, I always was around it, like spending a lot of time in the Southwest. I was around that medicine a lot, but that medicine started to talk to me even before I had the opportunity to know its value. And it was a voice. It's like a man's really deep voice, speaking. And I'm thinking, wow. So when I had the opportunity to actually do that medicine, I already, I guess you could say, was welcomed, or I already knew that that was the right thing for me to do. So we have to be cautious too, because there's a lot of people out there who are don't have the right intention. They took a weekend course and all of a sudden they're these experts. They haven't walked that ceremonial path for all of these years. Like I've been doing this path for so many years now, and having to travel to ceremony, and having to give up time with my children sometimes, because I couldn't afford to take all of my children, but I knew I had to be there because they were saying you need to be here. And so I had to make that play, and I had to be there. And so yeah, there's a lot of give and take in your decisions, but if you're strong enough in your intent, then you're going to come out on the other side. So, did I answer the question? Don't
Did.
even know if I did or not.
And it's beautiful. I'm just
Yeah.
looking, is there anybody else? You talk about the dream time and dreams, and someone had a question on that, but I see there is Kim, do you want to ask a question? I see you have your hands raised, or if you just want to raise your hands, I can just basically unmute you. If someone wants to ask a question directly here, just raise your hands or click on the little it says reaction at the bottom, and you can raise your hand if you want. Yeah, Kim, so you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you, Angel. So I want to say thank you, Gail. I love it. And I feel like I was meant to be here. I only recently looked up your location, and you're in Grand River, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and Crawford Lake is your turtle plan?
Crawford Lake is it was originally into our space. It's about 45 minutes from here. Beautiful space.
I'm in Hamilton, Ontario, and I spent the last year in Brantford, and I hiked the Bruce Trail. So I didn't know that, but welcome, and I meant to be here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about separation and this COVID and the isolation that it has affected us all and unified us all in that way. I also want to introduce myself. My name is Kim. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and alcoholism and addiction is prevalent in all people. It doesn't discriminate. But what I have learned through a program of recovery is that it is through separation. I have a threefold disease of nature, and one is the malady or the physical allergy to it, yes, but there's a deep disconnection to a body of people. So my fellowship, or your tribe, we try to recreate that in a community. I also in a community of yoga that has restored me. With yours, with Six Nations,
Yes.
is it a deeper
Yeah.
sense
Okay. I was just looking for my lighter here because.
Is it a deeper sense of disconnection, do you believe, because of the land issues as well, that you cannot deeply root into your culture? I mean, I would think that that is significantly different or traumatic.
Yeah. So just mentioned before, it started with that big community, and then just slowly from there, just getting more and more until you're more isolated. And that's when more of the traumas start happening, in your families. So when we're talking about COVID, I have a lighter here, and was my intention to show you this beautiful, powerful medicine. And I don't know where it went, but it was sitting right here. I was all prepared. I lit my smudge before we came on, and it seems as though the lighter has gone. So anyways, let's manifest the fire anyway. So this is a very sacred, and it's a very powerful medicine. So, in the plant world, we have so many different types of medicine. We have the simple medicines, the ones that are everywhere and everybody can use, like plantain. It's easy to harvest, easy to find. They can be kind of like tonics, for like generally everything. But then you have this medicine. This medicine is called Osha root or bear root. It grows over 8,000 feet, so it grows in the Rockies and those higher elevations, and it's got a very strong parsley scent to it. It's actually part of the parsley family. So it's the first root that the bears dig when they come out of hibernation, and this root, I tell you. When I travel to other countries, never leave home without this root, because I can't tell you the number of times where your stomach gets, especially in Guatemala and Mexico, the number of times that I've had to chew on this root to offset, that feeling. It's powerful that way. But for COVID, how this is so useful is, imagine I'm lighting this, and there's a little bit of fire on the end, and then blow it out, and there's smoke. So what you do is you take the smoke and you'll 10 seconds up this nostril, 10 seconds up that nostril. COVID is dead in the water. So before it has a chance to manifest down into your lungs or elsewhere in your body, this has already taken care of it at the point of contact there. So people come into my store. This is always readily available. We smudge with it. We inhale it. My grandkids inhale it. I teach everyone how to inhale it like that. And, it's got a power. It's one of the strongest antiviral herbs. The caution with this medicine is it's endangered. And it's so expensive. It has tripled, no, even more than that, you know, since in the last year. It has exploded in price because it's endangered. So if you have access to this root, be very loving and only use a small amount. The other thing you can do is you can shave off just a little bit of just a couple of pieces, and you boil it into a tea, and you drink that tea. So if you have major problems going on with your lungs and pneumonia and different things like that, this is your go-to tea. Now, there are many others, and one of the things about medicines is they're starting to disappear, and this is disappearing. So we have to have those other medicines that take its place. I was actually starting to feel like it's been touching my family like from many angles since the started. But we know of this, and so we keep using it, and every time they've had to be tested, it's always been negative, and haven't showed symptoms because of it. So one night I was feeling a little bit like, holy, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a fever. I just don't feel 100%. Did this, had 2 cups of tea. The next morning, no signs of anything. And the thing is, as you're starting to experience that, you go, oh my gosh, am I strong enough to fight? You kind of doubt yourself, but I said, no, that's what these are for. That's why these medicines have come to us. I believe in this medicine, and sure enough, it helped. COVID is a blessing, just like pollution is a blessing. Pollution, think of that. It's something, negative energy that's sweeping through the land. If it was just affecting me or Native nations, well, then nobody would even care. Well, that's all right, who cares? But it's affecting every single family, every single being. And because it has that effect, well, then people are working hard to fight pollution, And so, and it's really a blessing, because without the ability to recognize it and to find those ways to overcome it, so it's the same with COVID. COVID, years ago, there was the N1H1, and that I was away, and my daughter caught that, and she said it was like there was a spirit whispering in her ear, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. And she says, I really felt like I was gonna die, and here I'm overseas. So she took bear root, and within 3 days she started to recover, and then she recovered. Whereas other people were in that stage for months, and it took them a long time to overcome that feeling of death. So I was just speaking with someone from China. She brought some supplies and donated some supplies, and I told her, I says, back when that hit, we were doing Sundance, and one of the Lakota elders told us to take some tobacco and to put it into a red tie, put it into a shell, and hang it on your west wall, and it would protect your home for 1 year. And so I thought of, the Bible stories, the blood of the lamb over the door, and that overcame whatever was happening there. And so for this virus, we were told to hang a yellow piece of cloth with tobacco in it over the doors that go in and out of your home. And that creates that same protection, because they over in China believe that it came because people were disrespecting the animals. And we know that that's happening everywhere. So they also have that really deep spiritual knowledge as well. And so, they had to do whatever they had to do. Like, they're a very ceremonial people as well. So it took, the recognition that there has to be change. And that's what it's doing for us too. It's opening our eyes to what are we doing to ourselves, disconnecting from our family. We're at work all day, our kids are in school. we're not even being a mother, you know, the teachers are being the mother. We're at home, we're at work, we're tired, you know, we order takeout and good night, kids. All I've got time is to put you in bed. We have no idea what these little people are experiencing during the day. So this has forced families back together. It's like, hey, I really like being at home. I get to read stories to my children. I get to, you know, be with my children. I get to know my children again. And our children are our future. And even if you haven't got children, you don't have children, you are still a mother, you are still a grandmother, you're still an auntie. There's all of these children that need support. And so COVID is an entity, and that's how we see it as well. And, you know, one day the entity will be gone. And sometimes the spirit of suicide hits your community. We've had some tough times, and it's a spirit. And what has to happen is that spirit has to be addressed, and it has to be told to leave the community, you know, because that's what it is. It walks through, and all of those that are, you know, attached or attracted to it, it's go ahead, kill yourself then. Come on, do it. And that voice comes in their head, and they do it. And, you know, it disrupts the whole community, you know, the whole family. So these things are entities, and the best advice I can give you, well, I guess not the best, what's helped me a lot is knowing the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar, oh my Lord, oh my God, you know, oh wow. Once you start to understand how it operates, how it works, the essence of, you know, what it's teaching, you know, I knew a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. Then I learned to learn more and more and more. Now I know more, but I still know only a small amount. But it has totally changed my perspective. So on that curriculum that including, I'm going according to the Mayan calendar as well as and fitting that in, because our teachings tell us that we came from the Mayans. And as I travel through Mexico, I feel that connection. Those entities, they connect with me. They speak to me. They share things, and it's like, wow, we are connected. And so the calendar is just that ancient system that, you know, has been kept alive when a lot of our other ways have, you know, fallen away because of, you know, forced death. You know, so the Mayan calendar has a lot of uh, insight and a lot of guidance. And if we listen to the guidance, so there's people who like to, they'll listen to one elder, and and the elder will be trying to help them, and they don't do what, you know, is recommended because, well, maybe somebody's going to tell me something else, and they go to this elder, and then they go over here to someone else. They go over to here to someone else, and because an elder says this is the work you have to do, they're going, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that work. I'm going to go find an easier way. And so they never ever get the work done because they're always just searching. They're never taking what they have and applying it. So again, that's the disconnect as well. The disconnect comes from not following your intuition, and not following, you know, that guidance, and that comes from within. It comes through meditation. It comes through all the different modalities and all the different connections that you have with the land and the earth and the air and the fire. You know, those sacred fires, they carry so much to them as well. I mean, basically all the elements. If you look at the thunders when they come through, look at the power as they, wow, they come and they walk through your land, and people get scared. And I says, are you kidding? That's our favorite time of the year. You know? So one day I was doing my a pipe ceremony, or sorry, we know that we have to offer tobacco when the thunders come through. We give them thanks that they're doing their duties, and they're holding all of those things that were destroying the earth at one time under the ground. And we're told that if they stop coming, then those things are going to come up and they could destroy the earth again. So we're always thankful that they're doing their duties and they're walking through. So I know I'm supposed to smoke my pipe, and I was in the middle of doing something. Oh, wait a minute. You know, I wasn't quite organized as they were coming through. And I finally got it together and I started smoking my pipe. And as I started making that offering, I saw one of those beings turned around, because it was like they have these big rods in their hands and they go bam. And he turned around and said, "Thank you." And I'm going, you know, again, it's one of those like rare moments when you get that feeling that you're doing the right thing, you know. So they need us as well as we need them. We're not disconnected from anything in our world, nothing in our celestial understandings. We're so connected, and think of it this way: every cell has a brain. One of the best things about getting some formal study in herbal medicine was biology or biochemistry. You know, every cell has a brain. So we're made up of how many brains? The trees are made up of how many? The air is made up of how many? All of these brains are connecting and communicating and being. So this is what I mean by that interconnectedness. Once our brains start to like recognize and start to work with one another, our bigger brain starts to develop. When our bigger brain starts to develop, we can fight all that colonization, and we can get back to, you know, respecting the land again, honoring those spirit beings who are here to guide us. We all chose to be here at this time. And so I thank you all for coming at this time, because you have a duty, and it's your duty to fulfill whatever it is that you're being showed. We can't have 100 Dalai Lamas. So not everybody's going to be Dalai Lama. We can't have everybody being a window washer, but the window washer has just an important role as that Dalai Lama. Because think of it, you're sad and you're lonely, and you know you haven't talked to anyone all day, and you pull into some place and somebody says, "Can I do your windows?" And it's the first time you've had a communication with another human being, and maybe they impart something, a teaching, share something with you, and it makes you smile for the first time in that day. That is the power of human connectedness. You know, that could have saved that man from committing suicide. You know, we have to look at all of our roles. You don't have to have something that's all beautiful and bright and everything. You're on your path, you're where you're supposed to be. Now just take that really deep feeling that I need to accomplish this. Well, then there's steps to accomplish that. Figure out those steps and start taking them. You know, create that vision, 5-year plan. What would make me happy? There it is. Create it. So that's all your jobs for you know, the next 50 years. Create that plan and follow it. That's simple, you know.
So beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah, we're at the end of it. We went a little bit over, but you know, I just don't want to stop you, and I want just to spend the whole night with you and listening. And I have so much more questions. So we'll be sharing the recording with everybody, and we'll be sharing links to the Land of the Dancing Deer and to the beautiful work that is there. And if you're around or nearby, you can go and visit. I want to leave the last word to you, Gail. So I don't know if you want to do a prayer or whatever you want to share, but I won't talk after that. So I wanted to thank everybody for being here. It was such a pleasure to host you. I have a dear relative, Violet Catches, with a Lakota elder, who is here tonight. And Violet, I'm so happy you're here, and somehow that you were sharing about the Lakota people, and you know, it was just beautiful to have the little bridge connection here tonight, very dear to my heart. So, and I hope, Violet, we can get you to come and share your wisdom and share some beautiful stories, because I had to spend some time in South Dakota with you, and it was just so amazing.
Mm.
And thank you to everyone else that was here, wherever you called from. It was such a wonderful evening. There's so much there to reflect on, and I'm going to listen to that again. So Gail, thank you so much. And I'm handing you the last words for the evening. Thank you.
Over to you, Gail. All right, my turn. All right. So last words. In our Thanksgiving address, we have the last paragraph of the Thanksgiving address is about all of the things that we've forgotten. So as we're talking about all of the beauty, and all of that, the plants and all those beautiful spirits of the land and the earth and the air and the skies and the creator, all of those things that they bring to us. The last word is always about, if anything hasn't been said that needs to be said, it's up to you to put that into your intentions so that you can acknowledge that and it can be part of our prayer. So as people of the universe, as people who have come here from another space and another time, people who have descended onto this beautiful earth for, bringing the world back to peace and harmony again. I send blessings to through the ancestors to all of you, and I hope that there's words that have helped you on your path tonight. And it is now time to allow the ancestors to go back to what they're busy doing in that world. And so the way that we say that is simply by saying thank you. So put that in your mind to say thank you to all those beautiful relations that have joined us tonight, and allow them to go on to their journey. The thanks also is for the opportunity, to be with you all, and for all of the work that you are all doing. So, we give thanks for all of you for putting forth an effort to make that big difference to the health of our communities, to the health of our people. And we also ask for those that couldn't join us tonight, that they also feel the energy of what was shared tonight, because there's many beautiful elders that share many beautiful teachings, and there's no one that has all of the answers. And so we put it out there that for all of the other information and all of the things that you need on your earth walk, that you may be able to walk with those that can help you on your path, and that you gain great knowledge and respect for your time here. So with that, I say Nyawagoa, and it's been a pleasure, Angel. Thank you so much for being able to be here tonight, and for all you beautiful people. Send our beauty and our love, and may your hearts be filled with happiness and joy. So with that, good night, everyone, and thank you for attending. Yeah.